Hey there guys, and welcome to another episode of Kieran's Movie Space. I'm Kieran, and in this episode I'm going to be ranking my 5 favourite movies of the summer. Before we get into that ranking though, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more movie reviews, breakdowns and rankings. So the summer movie season is already coming to an end, and I actually think that there's been quite a few good movies released this summer, especially compared to the last couple of years. Of course, there's been a few stinkers and a few disappointing films, but for the most part, I think this summer has delivered more than a few great movies. Just to let you guys know, I'm kind of going to take all of the movies from the end of April into account, which does mean that Avengers Infinity War will qualify for this ranking. I also feel like it's worth saying that there are quite a few films that have been released in the US that haven't landed in the UK yet, so those films won't be included on this list because I've not seen them yet. But with that out of the way, let's get started, and the film that I've decided to put in my number 5 was one that I wasn't really that excited about, The Incredibles 2. And I wasn't excited about this just because I'm not the biggest fan of the first movie. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate that movie or anything, but I also don't understand why it gets as much love as it does. So I kind of went into The Incredibles 2 not expecting to love it, but I've got to say that I absolutely loved this movie. The direction was awesome. Brad Bird did a really good job of capturing the style and the tone of the original. The action scenes were incredible. There's one or two of the action scenes, especially the motorbike sequence, that looked and felt like they were live action. That's how good they were. The dynamic between the characters was really fun, and the animation was honestly just some of the best I've ever seen. After seeing Coco, I didn't think that animation could get any better, but after seeing this film, I'm yet again in shock because some of the animation here just looks phenomenal. So yeah, The Incredibles 2 kind of came out of nowhere for me, and now it's number 5 on my best of the summer list, which I never thought in a million years would have happened. And coming in just ahead of it in the number 4 spot is another sequel that I absolutely adored, Deadpool 2. I think this is an excellent sequel. It's one of the best sequels I've seen in recent memory. I like Deadpool 2 more than the original. I think it's funnier, it's more emotional. The new characters are introduced brilliantly, the action scenes are just awesome to watch, and Ryan Reynolds is yet again perfect as this character. I'll admit that I was a little bit worried when Tim Miller dropped out, but David Leitch absolutely hit a home run with this one, and I really liked that he brought his own look and his own feel to the franchise, especially in the action scenes. So moving on, at number 3, I've got a movie that I only just saw at the end of last week. I only reviewed it earlier this week, but I knew as soon as the film was over that it would make its way onto this list. I'm of course talking about Spike Lee's latest joint, BlacKkKlansman. Like I said in my review, BlacKkKlansman is undoubtedly one of the best movies of the year. It's powerful, it's emotional, it's got a message, and it's also just a really fun and a really stylish movie that'll have you crying one minute and laughing the next. John David Washington gives a career-defining performance. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him in the years to come, and this is truly just one of the best movies I've seen in a really long time. And just ahead of BlacKkKlansman in my number 2 spot is one of the most surprising movies of the year, Mission Impossible Fallout. So I'm a big fan of the Mission Impossible movies. I think they're all really good, especially the last few. The last few have been great. So I went into this kind of expecting to get a really good movie, but this was just so much more than that. I think Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the best made and the best constructed action movies ever made. The action is some of the best I've ever seen. The acting is incredible. Tom Cruise really gave his all for this one. It actually develops the characters and tells you more about them, which not many of the other Mission Impossible films have bothered to do. This film was, I think, just so much better than anyone expected, and in terms of surprise hits, I think Mission Impossible Fallout just stole the summer. But it didn't quite make it to the top of my list, and I'm willing to bet that if you're a fan of this podcast, you already guessed what my favourite movie of the summer was, because you'll know that I love comic book movies, and I absolutely adored Avengers Infinity War. I just watched this movie for the 6th time the other night, and I loved it just as much, if not more, than I did the first time I ever saw it. I think this is one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's already my favourite movie in the MCU, and I know that I might get a lot of flack for this, but I'd rank this movie up there with Logan and The Dark Knight because I think it just belongs with them as one of the best films in this genre. The Russo brothers did a phenomenal job with this film. They managed to balance this insane amount of characters while giving them all an emotional and a character-driven journey. It's insane to think of how many characters in this film get their own journey and get their own time and get their own moment to shine. That just doesn't happen, and it's insane to see that that did happen in this film. They gave us a phenomenal villain in Thanos. I think he'll go down as one of cinema's best bad guys, and then they even had the balls to leave us wondering what the hell's going to happen next. Avengers Infinity War wasn't just another popcorn flick for Marvel, it was treated with respect, and that's why it's my favourite movie of the summer, and honestly, I'd be surprised if it isn't in my top 10 movies of the year list when I finally get around to doing that in a couple of months. So yeah, that's my top 5 movies of the summer. Let me know what your list looks like in the comments section below, and if you're listening on YouTube, it'd be awesome if you could like this video and hit the subscribe button. I'll be back with more rankings, more reviews, and more breakdowns really soon, so make sure you don't miss them, but for now, thanks for checking out this episode, and I'll see you next time.